Salaho everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today, the brand new Poco F4 is finally announced. This is a 5G device from Poco that enables us to have great camera capabilities with the Snapdragon 870 and the 64 megapixel camera with OIS. It's going to be the primary sensor on the back. But not only that, we obviously have 120 Hz refresh rate, 360 Hz touch sampling. We have a fast 67 watt charger in the box with a 4500 milliampere battery and so much more. This is TK and this is the brand new F4 from Poco. Let's check it out. Like and subscribe and make sure you hit that bell icon so that you're always notified to whenever we have new videos on the channel. So this is what we get. We get the Poco F4 box. We have the phone, of course. There's 3 different colors available. We do have a USB-C to 3.5mm headphone jack adapter, a USB-C to USB-A connector to be able to actually connect us to the 67 watt charger that will be able to charge the 4500 milliampere battery that we have in here. We have a screen protector replacement as well as a clear case to be able to protect our device. Now, as far as the battery capacity, we talked about that at the beginning, 4500 milliampere. It's a little bit smaller than the GT model that came out just not that long ago. And of course, it runs a 67 watt charger as opposed to the 120 watt charger that we got with the F4 GT. So just keep in mind, there's a few differences between the two on top of the fact that the GT model runs the 8 Gen 1 and this one runs the 870. In my opinion, it's actually a better combination of processor and 5G capabilities on the 870 than what we get with the 8 Gen 1. Literally what I'm trying to say is that you can pretty much run every single game that runs on the 8 Gen 1 on this and it runs very nicely. And as far as the camera stack on the back, it's a 64 megapixel primary sensor with OIS, which means better low light performance and of course better stabilized footage that we get in there now that we have OIS built in. This is something that's a little bit better than what we got with the GT model, as well as the fact that we have an 8 megapixel ultra wide as well as a 2 megapixel macro lens. So it pretty much says that the 64 megapixel is going to be the primary one that you live in there. No wireless charging on the back, but overall pretty much a nicely designed. There's going to be 3 different colors available with 2 different storage and RAM capabilities, 6 128 and an 8 256. So what we get here is a 6.67 inch display. It's 120 Hz 1080p resolution, and of course we have a 360 Hz touch sampling that enables us to have much better performance for gaming, and I'll share those with you guys in a little bit. Overall, as far as the actual UI and configuration, we have MIUI 13 on top of Android 12. Let's go to the About phone. And of course, the model that I have is the 6 gigabytes of RAM with 128 gigs of internal storage. Now, there is an 8 256 that's going to be the other model, and of course, both are going to be LPDDR5 for the RAM and UFS 3.1 for the storage. Again, as I mentioned to you guys, Android 12 with MIUI 13 powering this device. And last but not least is the Snapdragon 870 that's going to be the main processor with 5G capabilities. Now, of course, on the left, we have the access to the Google feed. On the right, we just have our application. Swiping up takes us directly into the actual App Store. And I love the fact that on MIUI that we have the search bar at the bottom of the actual search. So when I swipe up with one hand, I can just select it right here and it'll jump directly into the search, showing me my latest applications. And of course, we can access the different categories or pre-organized categories that we have in here directly based on the applications. Now, swipe down from the center here takes us directly to the notification panel. Swipe up to the right, swipe to the left between the toggles and the notification. This is something that we've had with MIUI for quite some time. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys want to see or at least know what the performance is. This is the Snapdragon 870, and of course, the X4 GT is going to be running the MediaTek or the Dimensity 8100, so it's slightly different performance, but overall comparable to what we're getting here. The 870 on the Snapdragon side is pretty much close enough to what we get with the 8100, so just keep in mind that that's what you're going to be getting. Overall, when I ran this in performance mode, 962 for single core, 3211 for multi-core, and of course when we run the compute, it's going to be running a 3503 for the OpenCL testing here. So pretty much standard expectations, what you should expect from that performance. We do actually, right now I am running it on T-Mobile here in the US, so let's go ahead and turn off the Wi-Fi. And as you can see here, it does register on T-Mobile, and depending on where I am, I'm able to get between 4G LTE and 5G. The signal does show up in here. So it does seem to work quite well with T-Mobile, at least in the Los Angeles area where I am. One thing to mention as far as the overall experience here, we do have NFC supported in here, and we also have an IR blaster that's present at the top. Stereo speakers with Dolby configuration for audio performance, so we're not going to be disappointed in any way, shape, or form between the audio performance, and of course we'll do a speaker test, but last but not least, of course, is the camera experience that we get in here. Now, 20 megapixel front-facing camera, 64, 8, and 2 megapixels on the back with OIS on the main sensor. This is the 64. Video capabilities are going to be 1080p on the front, 4K 60 on the back. Of course, we have Pro mode, video mode, portrait mode, and of course, under more, we're able to jump in between night, the full 64 megapixel power, short video, panorama, documents, vlog, all the way down slow motion, time lapse, movie effects, of course, long exposure, and of course, dual video and clone. And long exposure is going to be really nice, especially for those night photography, and it benefits from the OIS on the 64 megapixel camera that we have in here. So I'm going to give you guys a quick sample of the front-facing and back-facing video, as well as a sample of the video that I took with my buddy when we were at the Natural History Museum here in Los Angeles. You know, just taking some pictures of some old fossils, of course. We're going to start off with the front-facing camera on the F4. We have a 20 megapixel camera here that's capable of getting a 1080p resolution video. So the front-facing camera maximum is 1080p, although on the back we can go all the way to 4K 60 frames per second. Definitely a much better representation there. A little bit of wind around me, so hopefully you can hear me pretty well. We have pretty good options here as far as video, but of course the 64 megapixel camera sensor on the back is going to be the best one that we can use. Let's go ahead and switch over to that sensor. Now we're using the primary sensor on the back. It's a 64 megapixel sensor that's capable of giving us 4K 60 frames per second, supported with the brand new Snapdragon 870 processor inside the F4. This is going to be the best camera that you can use for not only photography, for video, for any kind of content that you want to create. This is going to be the best. Now, one thing that I really like about this is the fact that the reflective material on the phone becomes almost like a mirror when you're using it, so you can center your subject very nicely. As long as you can see yourself in the reflection, you're in the center of this video. The audio and video sounded really good. I love the fact that the primary sensor on the back is really a well-rounded experience with OIS to provide us the best experience. So now we're going to switch over to the stereo speakers with Dolby Atmos configuration. Of course, we're going to be playing our favorite song, Alex Scrindo Jumbo by NCS Release. And of course, we have the speakers set to 100%.
Jack it up.
As it sounds there, actually pretty decent. Not the loudest speakers on the market, but definitely enough for us to enjoy the content if we're watching it using the speakers. Keep in mind that they do include the adapter, so if you want to be able to get a wired experience, all you have to do is provide your headset. They've included Game Turbo in here to be able to basically make it easier for us to navigate the different games that we have on this device. I installed Call of Duty Mobile, PUBG Mobile, and of course Genshin Impact, which already came with the phone. The overall experience is pretty straightforward. You can customize the experiences in here, or you could definitely launch the games and of course go in there and start looking at the gaming center experience that we get in here with the Gaming Turbo or the Game Turbo system. Swiping from the left here gives us access to the entire UI element. We have the ability of switching between performance mode and balance mode. It is set to balance out of the box. Let's go ahead and lower the volume a little bit. We have the ability of basically clearing memory. We have the do not disturb. We have obviously screenshot, screen recording with up to 90 frames per second screen recording. And of course we have Wi-Fi casting, turn off the screen if you need to. And of course none brightness, and of course last but not least settings, voice changer and timer. Last but not least, the experience here is going to be pretty much straightforward. 120 frames per second is going to be the best. But as far as the actual experience overall here on PUBG Mobile, we're able to jump in directly into the graphics. Now you're able to jump into UHD, but that does drop you to Ultra. But if you want to get the fastest frame rate, go to HDR and Extreme. That'll get you a solid 60 frames per second on PUBG Mobile. Let's go ahead and jump in to some samples of gaming on the F4 from Poco.
With enemy. Target's inside. Enemy down. Contact with enemy. Target's inside. I'm hurt. Reloading. Cover me. Contact with enemy. Target's inside.
Recon Reaper killer drone on standby.
Contact with enemy. Target down. Target's inside.
Online.
Target's inside. Enemy contact. Enemy
Predator
down.
missile on standby.
Contact with enemy. Contact with enemy. Let's go. Let's go.
Friendly Predator missile inbound.
The F4 will not disappoint when it comes to gaming as well as content consumption and media creation. The beauty of having the 870, it's the fact that it's it's the 865++. So it's a processor that's technically built on the 7nm architecture from a couple of years ago, but is still a very capable processor in 2022. We have to keep in mind that even though the 888 and the 8 Gen 1 are very powerful, I feel like they're more powerful than what our normal needs are going to be, from gaming to daily activities overall. I think the 870 is going to be a very capable processor. Now, when we're talking between this and the X4 GT, the MediaTek or the Dimensity 8100 is pretty much a comparable experience to what we get with the 870. So it depends on which flavor of processor you want to go with. The overall experience that we're getting in here, definitely as far as the cameras, with OIS, the 64 megapixel camera sensor on the back is way better than I was expecting it was going to be. Now, you're seeing some pictures from my trip to the Natural History Museum with my buddy Juan Carlos Bagnell, which again, by the way, he's going to be covering the X4 GT as I'm covering the brand new F4 from Poco. So if you'd like to basically get a good, well-rounded experience, make sure to check out that link in the description. For me, the experience here is definitely very nice. A large display, capable processor, and of course, large battery to be able to keep going for an extended amount of time. We're running Android 12 with MIUI 13. There's a lot of things to love about the F4. When we start looking at the fact that should you get the F4 or the F4 GT that was announced not that long ago, it's pretty straightforward. If you're looking for a better camera performance and more well-rounded experience, the F4 is where it's at. If you're looking for gaming, basically gaming triggers, the 8 Gen 1, 120 Hertz and 120 watt charging, all of the, basically fastest technology, the F4 GT is going to focus there. Although I feel like the cameras there are not necessarily as good. So this is where I keep saying the word well-rounded, because I'm saying that the F4 is definitely more suited to be more of a well-rounded experience. The A70 is quite capable. We have two different configurations, a 6128 or an 8256. You're still getting basically a large battery, fast charging included in the box, and you're getting everything that you want. Stereo speakers, Dolby, NFC, IR blaster, a whole bunch of different things that Poco just packing into the F4. So at the end of the day, I'm very excited what the F4 is capable of doing and offering us as a very good combination from Poco, and a really good balance by comparison to what we get with the F4 GT that's definitely headstrong into gaming. So both of them are going to really do very well. So like and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you like the brand new Poco F4, or do you prefer going over to the GT model and getting more of that gaming experience? I'll give you guys a link in the description below to my GT video that I posted, so you guys can maybe do a little bit of a comparison there. I'll see you in the next one.